Hello students, welcome back to the session. Children, today in this class we will discuss the 10th chapter from your Beehive text, that is Kathmandu. Let us check on to what Vikram Seth, the writer of the book Heaven Lake, has to tell us about Kathmandu. So it will be like a tour for us to Kathmandu. Let us know more about the writer as well as about this chapter. So as here you can see a few pictures of Kathmandu. Kathmandu is Nepal's capital, is a set in a valley surrounded by the Himalayan mountains. At the heart of the old city's maze-like alleys is Darbar Square, which becomes frenetic during Indra Jatra, a religious festival featuring masked dances. Many of the city's historic sites were damaged or destroyed by 2015 earthquake. Darbar Square Palace, Hanuman Dhoka and Kasta Mandap, a wooden Hindu temple, are being rebuilt. So this is about Kathmandu. Now let us know about our writer Vikram Seth. As you can see here in the picture is Vikram Seth, and who was born on 20 June 1952, is an Indian novelist and poet. He has written several novels and poetry books. He has received several awards such as Padma Shri, Sahitya Academy Award, Pravasi Bharatiya Samman, W.H. Smith Literary Award and Crossword Book Award. Seth's collection poetry such as Mappings and Beastly Tales are notable contributions to the Indian English language poetry. As I told you that this chapter is nothing but an extract taken from the book Heaven's Lake. Seth divides his time between the United Kingdom, where he bought and renovated the former home of angelic poet George Herbert near Salisbury, and India, where he has a family home in Noida, Uttar Pradesh. In 1983, Seth published this book, that is Heaven Lake, an account of his unorthodox travels in land route near Tibet and Nepal. The land route near Tibet followed Nepal. The land route which he followed Nepal. The land route which he followed on his journey in trucks originated in the oasis of northwest China and went on to this of northwest China and went on to the Himalayas, crossing 4 Chinese provinces. The travel log, he says, is based on the journal that he kept and the photographs which he took on the journey. The book received high praise when it came out in Britain and received the Thomas Cook Travel Book Award, Britain's prestigious award for travel writing, for the year 1983. No American publisher, however, was willing to take it on, and it was published much later by Random House in the wake of the success of The Golden Gate in the year 1986. From Heaven's Lake is a leisurely account of Seth's travels and has some truly poetic descriptions of natural landscapes of China and the warm evocations of ordinary Chinese men and women with whom he struck up friendship. So children, this was all about the book From Heaven's Lake written by Vikram Seth. Now we will start off with our chapter Kathmandu. As I told you, it is an extract from this book Heaven's Lake. So as you can see here, there are lot of temples in Kathmandu. Here the writer on page number in your text, on page number 127, he says that he got into a cheap room in the center of the town, and he slept for some hours, and the next morning with Mr. Shah's son and nephew he visited two temples in Kathmandu that are most sacred to Hindus and Buddhists. At Pashupatinath, outside which a sign proclaims entrance for Hindus only, there is an atmosphere of febrile confusion. So febrile here means hurried or complete chaos. So priests, hawkers, devotees, tourists, cows, monkeys, pigeons, dogs roam through the grounds. We offer a few flowers. There are so many worshippers that some people trying to get the priest's attention are elbowed aside by others pushing their way to the front. A princess of Nepal's royal house appears and everyone bows and makes way. But the main gate, a party of saffron-clad westerners struggle for permission to enter. The policeman is not convinced that they are the Hindus. Only Hindus are allowed to enter the temple, as it was mentioned that only Hindus are allowed to get into this temple. One chases another. So he says all of a sudden Vikram Seth sees two monkeys, and a fight breaks out between the monkey, and one chases the other, who jumps onto a Shivalinga, then runs screaming around the temple and down to the river, that is the holy Bhagmati, that flows below. A corpse is being cremated on the banks. Washerwomen are at their work and children bathe from a balcony. A basket of flowers and leaves. Old offerings now wilt up, and the evil period of Kali Yuga will end on the earth. And the evil period of Kali Yuga will end on the earth. So the period of Kali Yuga will end on the earth. So that is a belief here. End on the earth. And so that is a belief here. And so that is a belief here. And at Baudhnath Stupa, the belief here. And at Baudhnath Stupa, now the writer is talking about Baudhnath Stupa. Now the writer is talking about Baudhnath Stupa. Now the writer is talking about this Baudhnath Stupa. Now the writer is talking about this Baudhnath Stupa. As you can see, talking about this Baudhnath Stupa. As you can see here in the slide, Baudhnath Stupa. As you can see here in the slide. So the as you can see here in the slide. So the Buddhist shrine of the slide. So the Buddhist shrine of Kathmandu, there is a contrast, he says, a sense of stillness. Its immense white dome is ringed by a road, and a small shop stand on its outer edge. Many of these are owned by Tibetan immigrants, and felt bags and Tibetan prints of silver jewelry can be bought here. There are no crowds, and this is a haven of quietness in the busy streets around. So this is how the writer describes Baudhnath Stupa. So here he compares both these places, the Baudhnath Stupa and the Pashupatinath temple. Kathmandu is vivid, mercenary, religious, with small shrines to flower adorned deities along the narrowest and busiest streets, with fruit sellers, flute sellers, hawkers of postcards, shops selling western cosmetics, chocolates or copper utensils, and Nepalese antiques. And as usual, children, so here he is describing how the places are in the market. We all know that. Here the writer says that he totally got indulged himself into this market, and he buys a bar of marzipan and a corn on the cob roasted in charcoal, brazier on the pavement with rubbed salt, chili powder and lemon. So all of us have eaten this corn, which has been cooked in a charcoal brazier, and when you go to the market you can find such things, and we have all tasted this. We know what is this. And a couple of love story comics and even Reader's Digest, he could see all these things in this marketplace. And he says he bought a Coca-Cola and a orange drink, and after eating this he drank that and he felt better. That's his experience he's trying to tell us. And then he says that exhausted and Agra to Delhi, but I'm too exhausted and homesick, today, exhausted and homesick. Today is the last day. Homesick. Today is the last day of August. Today is the last day of August. Go home. I tell last day of August. Go home. I tell myself to move directly towards home. So he's planning like how he's going to move forward and continue his travel. So he has seen all these places here at Baudhnath Stupa and this Pashupatinath temple, and he says on page number 130 you can see that Vikram Seth writes, I look at the fruit seller and the flute seller. So there is two difference here. One is fruit seller who is shouting and calling out to customers to buy his fruits, but here he is telling that the flute seller is not shouting or calling customers. Instead he compares and he says that this person is just playing the music. So he says, I look at the flute seller standing in a corner of the square near the hotel. In his hand is a pole with an attachment at the top from which 50 or 60 bansuris are protrude in all directions. So here you can see here in the third image that there is a flute seller and how he has kept his flutes there for selling. Sometimes he breaks off playing to talk to the flute seller, and I imagine that this has been the pattern of his life for years. And he finds attracted towards the flute music. Vikram Seth, flute music always does this to me. It is at once the most universal and most particular of sounds. There is no culture that does not have its flute, the reed, the recorder, the Japanese shakuchi, the deep bansuri of Hindustani classical music, and the clear or breathy flutes of South America. So here the flute seller is having different kinds of flutes and he is playing different kinds of music in that. And here the writer says that music has it is bringing all the culture together. There is no culture or caste here, so everyone will be attracted towards this bansuri's music. So that I can be so affected by few familiar phrases on the bansuri surprises me at first. For the previous occasions that I have returned home after a long absence abroad, I have hardly noticed such details and certainly have not invested them with the significance I now do. So that was the conclusion from page number 131. Let us now understand the summary of this chapter. As I told you, the present chapter is an extract from Vikram Seth's Heaven's Lake. Vikram Seth is a famous modern Indian writer who has written many novels, essays and travel logs. He has given a vivid description of temples, markets and people of Kathmandu in this chapter. He describes in detail the atmosphere around Pashupatinath temple and Baudhnath Stupa. He has drawn powerful images and pictures of the sights and sounds. The atmosphere in and around Pashupatinath temple and Baudhnath Stupa differs totally. There is a sharp contrast between the two. At Pashupatinath temple there is an atmosphere of excitement, noise and confusion, and at Baudhnath Stupa there is sense of stillness. He tells us about the flute seller who is selling flutes by playing meditatively on one of them, and he is different from other sellers. Vikram Seth is fascinated with the flutes. He says that every culture has its own kind of flute, creating common bond between various cultures. The writer admits that he has an immense love for the music of flutes. So this was the chapter, children, Kathmandu. Now let us discuss the textual exercise given there in your textbook. Keep your pencil and your textbooks ready so that we can discuss the question answers and the textual exercise on page number 133. Thank you for listening.